Hello, everybody, and welcome to episode 68 of the Alexei Sayle podcast. And Alexei Sayle was involved in a right old Michigas at the weekend. You're going to ask me about it, Talal?
Yeah, we got an email from Tim, who was also there. He said, on Saturday, I got violently harassed by a cop in front of my 9-year-old child, but others got far worse treatment.
Yes.
Shows how scared Kid Starver is of our movement.
Yes.
We have all ages, all professions, all faiths, all sexualities, all colours, all genders, all classes, and our marches aren't going away. Bless you,
No.
Alexei and T-Bone. And what's he talking about, Alexei? And were you also there? And was I also there?
Yes, was you also there? So in the middle of last week, at this point, the march, they'd agreed, I think, in October or November that the march could go from the BBC, where it would protest against BBC, incontrovertible BBC bias against Palestine, in their reporting, to Whitehall. Then suddenly, I think with a week to go or something, the police suddenly reversed their position and said the march couldn't set off at the BBC because they'd heard from the rabbi of a synagogue that's a bit further up Great Portland Street, that he'd said that I don't know quite, that it would disturb his parishioners. I mean, this is despite the fact that demonstrations have been leaving from outside the BBC for the last 15 months. Mm-hmm. I think there was heavier. I don't know if there was heavier pressure from the Board of Deputies of British Jews. All of these are, of course, pro-Israeli and therefore pro-genocide, pro-ethnic cleansing, pro-apartheid. But the police, for whatever reason, chose, who have, I think, been reasonable, I mean, others might disagree, but I think the police have, despite a certain amount of earache, have been, allowed demonstrations to proceed and have not been overly aggressive, that the police decided to forbid and in the end they forbade the demonstration from happening at all and said they could only hold a rally at Whitehall. This was, I think that obviously it wasn't just that they were bowing to people like the Board of Deputies, but that the message had come down presumably from the Prime Minister, Keir Starmer, and from Home Secretary Yvette Cooper.
Yeah. That
this was the time to get more aggressive with the demonstrators. Now, during the week before, when it was still departing, I think, from the BBC, Lindsay German of Stop the War had emailed me and said, would I march at the front? I think I mentioned this last week.
You did, yeah.
Because they wanted, obviously, Jewish people at the front to point out that, Jewish people weren't terrified of these demonstrations. I said yes. By the time I got to I got to Whitehall, by which time the demonstration had been forbidden and it was just a static rally was all that was allowed. By the time I got down to Whitehall. So I went backstage anyway, and after there was the usual speakers, Khaled Abdallah was, Julie Stevenson, beautifully read poems, very moving, and so on and so forth. And Lindsay said, can you line up with prominent people to line up at the back of the stage holding flowers? We will then, when Ben Jamal has finished speaking, we will line up and walk towards the police lines. And then when we get to them, we will stop and lay flowers and ask them why they're not permitting us to.
The language, because Ben Jamal at that point came out on stage with you all at the back there. And the language was very clear and specific. He said, we're going to walk. He never said march. We're going to walk up to the police line. And if they let us pass, we shall continue walking all in silence. That was his instructions to the crowd. We're not going to be disruptive. If the police let us pass, we'll continue walking. And if at any moment they stop us from walking, we will lay the flowers down at that point.
Yeah.
But the aim, the hope was that they would reach the BBC and lay the flowers down there. And he stuck to his word, didn't he?
Yeah. So after he'd finished speaking, we all trooped off the stage. Amazing act of, it was I mean, a most extraordinary experience, really, that amazing act of stewardship from the very young stewards, that they formed a kind of flying arrow of a kind of, and then we marched or walked.
Flying arrow of what?
Like they formed a triangle, basically, about, which came to a point about maybe 10, 15 meters ahead of us, the front line of the demonstration. Okay, so there's this Jeremy and John and Stephen Capos, the Holocaust survivor, his 90s, and me at the end. So they form this kind of pointed phalanx ahead of us, and then we marched.
Walked
through the crowds. Well, you know what I mean. But I mean, we walked through the crowds, and it's just as the crowd parts very.
It was, yeah,
obedient. It was the most. I mean, to be in the middle of that thing was just a kind of. I mean, very hard to take in a way. Just occasionally, I think, and then people, I think, sort of formed behind us.
Yes.
So and I mean, occasionally the crowd would compress, and you would think. I mean, it's lucky that everybody is so well behaved on that demonstration, that because there's a couple of times when it could have got quite dangerous, I think. But people are so well behaved. So anyway, we walked up. The first line of police, which was halfway up Whitehall, parted by the cenotaph and let us through, very genially. And then we finally got to by the side, outside Canada House, by the side on the edge of what would be the northwestern corner of
Trafalgar Square.
Trafalgar Square, and there the police had parked a line of vans, and then police had formed up in front of that, riot police, I think, rather than genial Dixon of Dock Green style beat coppers.
Mm-hmm.
And then, so there we stopped, and then there was a kind of hiatus, really. Jeremy and John talked to the police and said, we're MPs, why can't we walk? Shit like that. Then at some point, a snatch squad or whoever came out, and while Ben Jamal was actually speaking to them, they grabbed him, entirely unnecessarily, violently, hauled him off. Then we laid flowers down, put our banner down, laid the flowers down, sat down for a bit. A man with a bad hip leant on me for a while. And then we sort of just turned around, and the march very obediently turned around, which again, with the 50,000, 100,000 people, is amazing that they were so cooperative that they did that. And then our kind of hole opened up, and I just went round the eastern side of the square, picked up my bike from where I'd left it at the top of Whitehall, and cycled home. Really, so that was my Saturday, and it was it's an experience that's hard to take in some ways. Just being, you can see it's long. The power of a crowd like that is both inspiring and also frightening, in a sense. You can see how things go wrong, but I say everybody is so well behaved but it was clear that the police had been instructed to be more aggressive, and this can only have come from our beloved Labour Party.
The police statement is that the demonstration became disruptive and they disobeyed the commands of the police and all that, but there is clear footage of the police being told to let you through, pass from Whitehall into Trafalgar Square. And they were like, filter, and they all kind of came apart and let you pass through. So there is video evidence publicly available that contradicts what the police statement is. And their statement is why they ended up. Their statement is to justify why they ended up arresting 77 people, including some organizers of the march, and they brought in. Ben and Jeremy have been brought in for questioning and stuff. Was it Chris Nineham? Is that
Chris
his name?
Nineham's been charged, Section 14 of the Public Order Act. Well, so to move on, I contributed. The same people who did Jeremy Corbyn, The Big Lie, have now done another film called Censoring Palestine, which features interviews from, well, people, talking about how they've been censored for
the
Palestine.
Screening was last night, wasn't it?
And it was last night, the glittering premiere, which I was also on a panel. It was me, Chris Nineham, mothers of what is now the Filton 18. I think that was it, and Lindsay German. And I mean, what's very clear from the film, and what I had completely forgotten my interview, but actually, I think they obviously chopped my interview up, but I think what I say is actually not bad for once. What I say is that this is a continuation. Well, I mean that the evidence that presented in the film is of fascistic crackdown of free speech, really, and it's small scale at the moment, and it's aimed mostly at climate protesters and Palestine movement, but it is extraordinarily draconian. For instance, the mothers of the three women, I think, of girls who are been held, that they will have been held before their trials are not set until November 2025. And if they are not released on bail, which they have been up to now, they will have been in prison for 15 months in very harsh conditions before they even come to trial. And that is extraordinarily unjust and is, I don't know, fascistic, really. And these are people who obviously have, and then the government is fighting very hard to make sure that juries can't consider ethical considerations when they come to guilty or innocent findings. So it's really, and what I say, and one of the things I say in this is that this is a continuation of the Corbyn crackdown. That this was the anti-Semitism smear was a kind of trial run for this. And of course, like as the famous Pastor Niemöller poem says, first they came for the communists, but I didn't protest because I was not a communist. That they don't think that this is a trial run, and they will next come for, obviously they're already going after climate protesters. They're going after pro-Palestine.
Well, yeah, and they're using anti-terrorism laws,
and as somebody
to punish the climate protesters, which is a proof of that poem's legitimacy.
Yeah. Well, also that the bounds of what is considered terrorism have been set ridiculously wide, deliberately, and that a Labour government should go along with this, should not alter and in fact expand what the Tories did, what people expand on the work of people like Priti Patel and Suella Braverman. It just really is an extraordinary disgrace that they are enacting the same laws and the same tactics as Suella Braverman and Priti Patel enacted. And there's a pro-Palestinian journalist called Sarah Wilkinson whose home was raided. Laptops and been, and this is for
ashes and
to say that to point out or to ask about what is a terrorist organization, that in itself is considered support for terrorism, essentially. And this is draconian and profoundly dangerous, and don't think that they're not going to come for you. They will start off with us, and then there will be trade unions, and it will be anybody who gets in their way. So, just this, it's in all our interest to resist this. But it does, I know it's stupid to think, but it is, sometimes you do think that somebody that people like once could have been considered left-wing lawyers, people like Lammy and Starmer himself, left-wingish, did work for Doughty Street Chambers, that they should be at the forefront of bringing in this kind of fascist legislation is still surprising, really. And one feels that this is only the start, really, of a growing cloud of repression. And the fact that David Lammy, as somebody said, travelled to Israel last week alongside the ambassador, the Israeli ambassador, who's a hateful racist.
Yeah,
David Lammy could be in the company of that woman. Is just, what do they talk about on the fucking plane? You know, I mean, the way, what? I know you're a racist, but let's watch the Shawshank Redemption together on. I don't know. Anyway, it's just this. It is. You think it's normal, but nothing is normal anymore, really. So that's been my week.
It's been a far from fucking normal week from day one. You know, from the overwhammingly surreal inauguration day in the States.
Oh yes, I haven't even got to that shit. Yeah.
To seeing some interviews with Lammy and trying to chum up to Trump.
Just where's your where? I mean, I suppose when they sell their souls, they also it's like a two for it's like a buy one get one free. You get their self-respect. When they sell their souls, their self-respect is sort of bundled in as well. So you just think, where is your backbone?
Yeah.
That you should behave in this craven fashion to racists and mass murderers. It's what did it get you?
How do you fucking live with yourself?
Yeah.
Been given the honor or the responsibility of leading a country.
Yeah, imagine there is
and it's not even like, if this was like the Middle East or South America, where a prime minister or president, can buy themselves a palace and Ferraris and private jets. You're kind of like, okay, I see why you're doing it. Gaddafi had a palace and golden guns and harems of women and all that. It's like, okay, I can directly see the gains you're getting out of being a corrupt piece of shit. Whereas here in the UK, can you imagine Starmer like, all right, thanks for the press conference. Going back to my palace now in my golden Rolls Royce. And
sold his soul for some fucking free Arsenal tickets.
Yeah, exactly. Like,
and a chance to see Taylor Swift from 300 yards away, rather than the average.
And a promise, they're clearly given a promise from a higher power or billions of billionaires. Dark room. They're given a promise that they won't have their heads blown off, but also you'll be safe. You're going to have a long, successful, wealthy life once you're done in this politics.
Yes, well, that's what Andrew Feinstein says. Blair has made 140 million or something off the arms trade since he retired from being.
I just wish, though, there was that literal, direct evidence on screen, like. I wish Keir Starmer dressed in like a general's uniform with loads of medals and had like 10 women warriors behind him. And
well, it's more subtle, isn't it?
It's more subtle and sinister in a way, because these dictators are so much more childish in their instant pleasures.
Anyway, that was my week. So,
well, thanks for sharing that, Alexei.
Thank you. Yeah. It was strange. I did think when they sort of they were bundling Chris Lynham to the ground, I suddenly felt that, I thought, is this all going to kick off here now? Is this going to be, which was kind of exciting.
Kind of reminiscent of the 80s of Thatcher's troops.
I was never really involved in the poll tax or anything, but I can...
But you think, you want to say this is unprecedented, but it's not. Police have been given these powers before and
that this is being done in the service of a foreign nation. Is,
Yes.
supposedly an ally, but I think in a sense an enemy is.
But hey, why were we even protesting? Why were we even there? There's been a ceasefire, Alexei. Everything's fine now, isn't it?
They're moving the action to circus has moved to Jenin, hasn't it, in the West Bank? Yeah, I mean, I allowed myself a couple of days off, really, where I sort of pretended to believe that.
No, I knew it.
The killing has stopped, really, but
not that much. There's been tens of murders.
Yeah. I just
Hamas's stronghold, the West Bank, as we all know, because they can. They don't even have Hamas as an excuse anymore.
No, can't care, do they? I mean,
literally sniping children, a dad driving his family in a car, getting shot in the head while driving down the street, rounding up. What they released 90 hostages, the Israelis, and have arrested 60 more from the West Bank.
Yes.
Nothing finished. I knew it was no cause for celebration. I said it last week. It's at least the Gazans have a modicum of relief.
Not getting killed this week.
They're just
Well,
but it's we're fucking Musk throwing the Nazi salute and I think people are, that's probably a distraction because Trump's been, he's given, this is what I've heard, who knows, but he said that they're saying he's given Israel carte blanche to annex the West Bank, basically, and this is their new project now.
Yes.
Is that what it looks like to you as well?
I would have thought so. I mean, and people like Elise Stefanik, who's another terrifying racist, saying, she believes Israel has a biblical right to the West Bank. I guess. I don't know where the 7.5 million Palestinians in the West Bank. I don't know if they're going to try and kill them all as well as the Palestinians in Gaza. I don't know how they're going to try and whether somebody's going to crack with I don't know where the Palestinians are going to go apart from them being murdered. Nobody, which the Israelis would like, but it'd be difficult for them to.
You start by arresting all the men.
Yeah,
putting them to work, sending the women and children probably into Gaza or forcing them to become refugees elsewhere.
Yes,
and then 5-10 years down the line, start bombing Gaza again once they've finished rebuilding.
Yes, I guess. Yeah.
That's my prediction.
I don't quite see how this is going to work without extermination on an even greater scale than Gaza. I guess we will see.
The other idea is that this is actually death flails for Israel. This is the beginning of the end for the Zionist project.
I mean, some people say that. I would like to think so. I don't know.
If people keep their eyes peeled and keep their eyes on Palestine, I don't think there has to be a breaking point. We won't keep standing for it.
But unfortunately, it doesn't matter what. I mean, Chris Nynan was saying only 6% of the British population support Israel, but unfortunately, those 6% are all in the government or the media or funding campaign against anti-Semitism or community security trust. So it's the mass of people, as they do across the Arab world, support the Palestinians. Unfortunately, our views don't seem to count because we do not control the levers of power. But this is very clear one instant where our government and our entire ruling class, because the Tories are even more enthusiastically Zionistical, that where our entire ruling caste supports, does not support Israel, and in almost the entirety of the British population supports Palestine, so that you could not see a greater example of the kind of dissonance of the different, the gap between the governed and the governed, on this one issue, for example. And it's a bad, it's a bad thing.
It's a bad thing.
Somebody should stop it. Where were those aliens when where were those aliens when we need them, really? They could just come and rescue us.
There needs to be a word for not optimism or pessimism, but like I'm optimistic that it will be okay, but only after the most horrific things we'll ever witness in our lifetime.
Right.
Like, what's the word for that?
I don't know.
I'm hopeful for humanity, but we're going to have to see a lot worse shit before we fucking fix up.
I think that, I'm not optimistic for humanity, but I certainly believe all the other stuff. I don't know. Maybe the readers can help us out.
Yeah, if the readers out there have a word for me. I'm sure it's German, like Schadenfreude, like a word that we don't have in English. Yeah, maybe it's Romanian. I don't know. But if any of our listeners,
a word for
because they're very informed and they respond very well to our
clever people.
Yeah, how many people told us what sharp means? Because at the end of Poppy's email, our skinhead friend Poppy, who was hesitant about going to the march because she was worried she would be misconstrued as a nasty skinhead, when in fact she was like an original lefty skinhead. And she said at the end of her email, "Stay sharp."
Oh, right.
And the sharp was in capitals, and I was like, what's that? And we got 20 messages saying skinheads against racial prejudice is what sharp means.
All right. Well, I hope we help with her dilemma. I'd like to hear.
Annette got in touch, who's also a woman skinhead. She said Poppy should go. There'll definitely be people for her to march with.
Yeah. I feel like I've seen skinheads on the march.
Yeah. And she also said, please feel free to pass my email address on to Poppy. I'm happy to meet up with her in London, and she can march with me, Ian and Hillary. So long as she doesn't mind marching with older people over 60. Regards, Annette. So Poppy, if you need some buddies to march with, drop me a line and I'll pass on Annette's email to you. All right. And the videos on Patreon are doing nicely. People seem to enjoy that. Last week, I in fact managed to release the video episode a day earlier than the podcast version.
Right.
I just dropped it on the Friday when I finished editing. I was like, yeah, patrons can have an early preview. Yeah. But I had one concerned reader message in and say, I love that you're doing videos now, but I like listening because I like listening to it while I'm driving or doing the dishes or whatever. And now I'm torn because I never watch video podcasts. What do? I feel like I've been given this gift that I'm not That's fine, mate. You don't have to watch it. But, if something visual happens in the podcast and you want to see what we were talking about, you can go to the video and check out that moment. It's all right. It's not for you. It's not for you. It's fine.
You can tell when I'm not stopped listening.
You've glazed over.
So I start making faces.
Yeah. But if you want to watch the video podcast and see Alexei's faces.
Of what's it called? What's that, Del Boy and Ronnie Trotter.
Only Fools and Horses.
I could play Uncle.
Yeah, you could.
Granddad or whatever he was called. Your fruit bowl doesn't look as magnificent this week. Have you replenished it, or is it the same?
Yeah, we ate all the fruit. I made a smoothie like I said I would.
Yeah.
It's delicious. With some bloody celery and cucumber in it with all the fruits and some chia seeds.
Nice.
And some granola. It's like a good way of forcing yourself to have fruit. Yeah. It's a nice healthy breakfast. And now it's replenished. You're obsessed with my fruit bowl, man. Get your own fucking fruit. And let me finish plugging the Patreon. Patreon.com/Alexei Sayle podcast. Patreon.com/Alexei Sayle podcast, and you can watch Alexei pull faces or stare at the wall while I say things he's not interested in. Do you remember last week I asked people to leave some reviews on the Apple Podcasts?
Yes, I do remember.
Do you want to guess how many people have done it since Saturday?
11.
No, 21.
That's good. Is that enough to
Yeah, we're millionaires
affect
now.
the algorithm?
Yeah. I'm sure
more.
We want more. Please keep it going. Keep that attitude up. Go to Apple Podcasts or wherever you listen to your podcast. Leave us a 5-star review. And I said, we'll pick one and I'll send them the last Lego Alexei. Here it is.
All right.
There's a little Lego Alexei. This is for the video readers.
What's it adapted from again?
It's early 2000s stand-up comedy Lego Alexei. Oh, what?
Yeah,
I think the head is from a Sean Connery in some movie. No, it's Zod, General Zod from Superman.
Right.
Put onto a black body, holding a microphone. It's like a grumpy Alexei Sayle stand-up comedy in the.
That's a marvelous thing to have.
And it comes with a signed certificate of authenticity there. Thank you to Make It Jones on Instagram for making these. That's the last one, 5 of 5. I'm going to send that to someone. We got 21. I can't read all 21 and then ask you to pick one. But
no.
Maybe I'll read you a couple and then I will randomly choose one. How does that sound to you?
Yeah, maybe people could leave 5-star reviews for us on TripAdvisor as well. That confused things, didn't they?
I love that idea.
Yeah.
I'm writing this review because Talal and Alexei asked me to. For anyone in their right mind, this podcast is like a breathing straw to the surface for someone whose head is held underwater.
Yeah.
Vera, Chuck and Dave writes, Alexei has been delivering his unique brand of comedy since his stand-up and the young ones in the 80s. They give you a bit of a biography here.
This podcast, it's like 70s, if anything, actually.
Yeah, 78, yeah. This podcast 79. Is unusual. Huh?
I'm just saying dates. 78, 79, 80.
81, 82, 83, 84, 85. This podcast is unusual in that he and his funny mate Talal talk unscripted about serious issues, but still somehow make it entertaining. Keep up the good work. Thank you very much, Vera, Chuck, and Dave. Heisenberg BB. I love Lego. What's not to like? Wise words from the inventor of alternative comedy with his trusty Arabian sidekick, keeping things in order. Politics, jokes, great guests, and huge benefits for patrons. Did I say I love Lego? Particularly figures of comedians from the 1980s. I lost my Stephen Fry. Well, you say lost. I actually
makes
quite like
it sound like Robin Hood, the one with was it Morgan Freeman, and it was the trusty Arabian sidekick, and who's the other?
I did ADR on that.
I think I might have auditioned. I think I might have
to play the Arab, probably.
Yeah, not to play the Arab, but play, I don't know. Possibly Friar Tuck, I can't remember.
The main guy in that was the guy from
I forgot his
The Kingsman.
Name.
And he played Elton John in that. Am I right?
No, you're talking gibberish. It's oh God, him.
Was it Russell Crowe?
No, that was a different Robin Hood. It was like 84. Look it up.
What's his name? Morgan Freeman. Robin Hood, Prince of Thieves, Kevin Costner, 1991, with bloody Alan Rickman as the sheriff.
Kevin Costco. That's another standout performance from dear departed Alan Rickman. He was one of us.
Yes. My name, John McClane. Listen, Harry Potter. I'm going to kill you, Harry Potter. Someone taught me how to do that impression. So you have to imagine there's a spoonful of soup in your mouth. I love him in Dogma. I am the Metatron. Alan Rickman.
I tell you what, he's great in his Galaxy Quest as well. I mean, I wonder if we should do Galaxy Quest. What do you think? You think it'd be
one of my all-time favorites. I watched it 3 weeks ago.
Oh, really?
I'd happily watch it again. It's
such a great
so
movie. By Grabthar's hammer,
I shall avenge you. It's really touching, actually. That moment when he finally says the line. It's a beautiful film, Galaxy Quest.
Yeah, very wonderful.
Funny.
Sigourney Weaver. I mean, the height of her powers. Tim Allen. Just wonderful film. Very underrated.
There's a YouTube channel called Red Letter Media, which I recommend to anyone. But they recently did a video about Galaxy Quest, which triggered me to go and watch it again. And it's a really informed video, actually. There's a documentary.
I think I've seen it
on YouTube. It's on one of the evil streamers. And it's called "Never Stop Dreaming" or something. Or
it's got a slightly weird title.
It's a quote from the movie,
right?
Really cool.
Yeah,
maybe we will do that as a Alexei Sayle Film Club.
Yeah,
you've got 1 week, readers, until we're going to be discussing If.
Lindsay Anderson's If
from 1968. How old were you in 1968, Lex?
I would have been. I failed maths. I would have been.
When were you born?
1952. So I would have been 16.
You'd have been 16, yeah.
16. Yeah,
Can you? What was a 16-year-old Alexei like? You want to tell us a bit about him?
A 16-year-old Alexei. Oh my God. He had long black hair, black beard, with the sort of cut out in the middle. He wore a leather jacket all the time. He was quite confused about things, although he wasn't involved in left. But he loved Lindsay Anderson's If. Even that time, it offered a glimpse of a. I don't know. Interesting movie anyway. I mean, certainly, I remember loving Oh Lucky Man, which was the follow-up. Really, I don't know how I would feel about that now. But he was. I would have been. Maybe I'd been when I was. They told me not to come back to school, and I was going to art school in Southport.
Getting into fights?
No, not really. Just.
Why are you kicked out of
just
school?
Got fed up of me, really.
You know what, Alexei? We're sick.
They said, look, don't come back after the summer. Don't bother. Don't come back. I did have a fight with a teacher, Mr. Abrams, who strangely enough was in the Communist Party along with my parents, but who hated me. My memory is he punched me in the tuck shop queue.
Shit.
So I punched him back.
Shit.
But that wasn't what they expelled me for, really. It was just, it was just a accumulation of things. Really.
Did you have ambitions back then? Did you know what you wanted to do?
I wanted to be I thought I wanted to be, I wanted to be an artist of some kind, really. I didn't know how either. I thought then it would be possibly as a painter, but I knew I wanted to be. I had that ambition that I wanted to be different. I wanted to be a star in some way, some shape or form or other. I didn't want to be one of the mass, as it were. So,
wow, thanks for sharing that.
That's all right. Actually, I was just going to say, that's what I was thinking before, but we have lost a great revolutionary this week, haven't we? Jeremy's cat, El Gato. Linda said he posted a very moving. That was on the Sunday, really, after he'd been.
Yeah, the day after the march.
The day after
He posted a beautiful post on Instagram. Yeah, had featured a couple of lovely photographs. One with El Gato on Jeremy's lap, and then the final photograph was, if I remember correctly, El Gato standing on a fence post. just beautifully framed and just standing there. Backdrop was just the blue sky.
Yeah.
It was really, and he wrote a very sweet message for his cat.
That's the kind of person we could have had as our leader, not that fucking guitar-ridden robot midget that we've got. Wolf's upset. Wolf's not that well, really, either. So, I mean, he's getting old already.
Is Wilf beside you? People have noticed that since we started doing the videos, Wilf hasn't interrupted the podcast once. And
no.
I was wondering if it was like stage fright.
No, he sleeps most of the day.
He's getting on, isn't he? Like 15 years old?
Say about 17, something like that.
Jesus. We love you, Wilf. Hello, Wilf.
Yeah.
All the readers are big fans. Oh, we're going to get a look at him, are we? Okay. Camera's moving. He's picked up his laptop. I see a blurry blob on the ground there. I'm assuming that's Wilf. Oh, there he is. His head under the bed.
The
microphone unplugged. That's great. I'm sure when that video exports, it won't be blurry. Thanks for showing us, Wilf. Sending you well wishes, Wilf.
Yeah. Did you see it? Was he there?
Yes, he was there. His head was under the bed, so we just saw his decapitated body sleeping peacefully.
Yes.
Cats of the world, love and respect to you all. You blood pressure lowering, furry, feline friends of ours. Couple more before we choose a winner out of these reviews. Galvanizing the people of Britain's left. This podcast tells us how it is from the creator of the alternative comedy scene. I've already read that one. I've always loved Alexei Sayle, from his daft and wild character stuff to his deeply thought-provoking stand-up. Talal seems like a cracking chap too. Just to say, I really like the ones that mention me. I have to say that. Alexei and Talal provide a much-needed common-sense alternative to the rampant hysterical right-wing rhetoric that seems to be raging elsewhere. Erudite and articulate, empathetic and humorous, informative and ultimately entertaining. Keep up the good work, comrades. Dreary Fool. This dreary fool likes the podcast. And one really nice one says, it's not perfect, but it's perfect for me. I like that. So what I've got here is I've got a 21-sided dice on the internet. I'm going to roll the dice and I'm going to pick the review that the dice tells me to pick out of all the reviews we've gotten since Saturday, and they will be the winner of the Lego Alexei. I'm going to get this over with. All right, Alexei? Shall I do this? Here we go. It's a 3. That was the most underwhelming. I don't know what I was expecting there. I pressed the button and the number 3 came up. It's the one that called me the Arabian Sidekick.
Okay.
Heisenberg BB. When I read that review, it reminded me of Tonto, the Lone Ranger in Tonto.
Yeah.
Because he had like a Native American sidekick.
He did. That was a terrible film.
And it's the one that says I love Legos. The only one that mentions the Lego. This is
the one
I wanted to win.
Deserve it then, yeah.
Heisenberg BB, please reach out to me. You've won this. I can't message you through Apple Podcasts, so I need you to email alexeisaylepodcast@gmail.com, message us on Instagram, message me on Patreon. Prove to me that's you somehow, and I'll send you your prize, your Lego Alexei.
It's a Breaking Bad reference, was it?
Yes, Heisenberg BB Breaking Bad, yeah.
Breaking Bad. Yes.
Yeah. Oh, that was thrilling, wasn't it? We love a competition on the
fucking roller coaster ride of thrills.
What else have I got to report to you?
Oh, somebody asked. I don't know when my celebrity antiques road trip is going to be broadcast. Me and Nigel Fossakin for antiques in around Morpeth and around Berwick-on-Tweed, finding lovely little objets d'art in our antique MGC.
Will you promise to keep us posted?
I will. I don't know whether it's for. Maybe this is the first sign of. Maybe it's been cancelled because of my pro-Palestinian activities. Maybe this is the first sign, because it's coming. I mean, it's about 9 months ago that we made it, so I don't know why it hasn't been broadcast yet.
They're waiting for the right moment.
Yeah, I thought it was going to be.
I love Nigel Planer. He was so lovely to meet. Very nice guy. How long did you have to spend together to make that show?
3 days.
How long did you get to spend together?
We spent 3 days together. We got the train up. Then we spent 2 nights at this sort of golf club near Morpeth, and then we got the train back. We got back very late into King's Cross on the third day. It was ready, and our taxis didn't arrive. And I think in the end, I walked home. The taxi had to finally phone the taxi. He said, "Oh, I'm only 2 miles away." Oh, he could have been in bloody Wembley, couldn't he? 2 miles away. So I just said, "Oh no, forget it." And I walked home. So it was a bit of a anticlimax, really, to be in. What did surprise? I mean, I seem to be stuck talking in this, which is sort of Alan Bennett sort of voice, isn't it? What did surprise me was that he's much more famous than I am, really. The people, I suppose mostly from Neil, the more people recognised him than recognised me. I mentioned that to him when I was round at his house the other day, but I wasn't angry. I don't want you to think, Nigel, that I was angry, because I wasn't. I didn't mind.
Does he listen to the show?
Does he listen to the show? I don't think so. I don't. I'm
surprised by that because, Neil, I suppose you could argue, is a more memorable character, mainly based on screen time and a wig.
And that record went to number 1 and all that.
And the voice. But I think over the years, you've done more memorable kind of film and TV stuff.
Yeah, well, I've been me, haven't I? I mean,
you've always been you.
Rather than a character. The voice is gone. So I can do it, bring it back if you want.
Have you heard of a film called The Owl Service?
Very, very vaguely. What's it about?
Someone emailed called Lax. His name's Lax, and he's writing in from Boston, Massachusetts.
Oh yeah.
He's followed your work for most of his adult life. I'm assuming his. Sorry if I've not heard the name Lax before, but it's got a masculine punch to it. Lax. He's suggesting for the film club, and he says it's in true fashion of the podcast, 1969's The Owl Service. It was a children's book, which was also adapted for TV.
Yeah, I thought it was children's book. I don't know if we're going to do children's.
Well, okay. Well, thanks for the message, Lax. We'll look into it.
Yeah, we'll investigate.
I just like the idea that he was out in Boston listening to this.
Yeah. I do. I do have fans, don't I? In the United States.
If only he did the Antiques road race in Boston and in America, maybe. More people recognize you.
They sell all around the world. They're very lucrative. Those antique shows. It's one of the things that people in foreign markets lap up.
Lenin of the Rovers, was that a book you did?
No, it was a radio series. It was a radio series written by the late Harry Thompson and a guy called Marcus Berkman. And it was I think it's very popular at the time. It was very funny. It was about it was a sort of mashup of Roy of the Rovers, which I don't know whether people are younger, but he was in a comic book, and it was like a football based comic strip, and so Roy of the Rovers, and he played for Melchester, I think. and the various shenanigans that he got up to as a footballer. And it was a kind of collision of that and sort of Marxism and communism. So for some reason, I can't remember even, the story was that Felchester Rovers or whatever were bought by, I can't remember, became communist. Anyway, I think I was called Ricky Lenin, and I was the leading footballer.
The picture of you.
Yeah.
You've got a big black beard in it.
Yeah, I look like you because it's shaven head and a big black beard.
Yeah.
And it was so it's sort of full of jokes about football. It was at a time when football really wasn't, the stuff of comedy, really, because football then was very déclassé. It was like, it was shunned by the chattering classes. It was the hooliganism and very working class. So it was, we did 2 series, used to record in the old Paris Theatre, which is gone now. Keith Allen was in it. We also got contemporary the bloke who did, They Think It's All Over It is now, I forget the name, commentator, who's dead now. He was in it. And it was sort of, it was about a weird...
John Whitty.
No, it wasn't John Whitty, it was somebody else.
Also had John Sessions and Jim Broadbent were in it. Kenneth Wolstenholme.
Yes. And, so it was full of jokes about football and Marxism. Former Labour Chancellor, was he? Roy Hattersley once told me in a lift that he enjoyed it immensely.
Wow, first aired on my birthday in 1988. On my first birthday is when it first aired.
I remember it was released on cassette. That's how long ago. It was released by the BBC on cassette.
Well, lovely.
Lenin of the Rovers, yeah. So people liked it, really.
Yeah. People
think I wrote it, which I didn't. It was...
No. Marcus Burke.
Some other people, yeah.
Valerie writes us in comradeship, praising the podcast and saying she would love to listen to a copy of Lenin of the Rovers. She searched around. The only copy she could find only seems to be in the archives of the British Library, and she doesn't want to sit in the basement of the library and listen to the show. Well, I have news for you from my preliminary Google search. I have found it on, I don't want to plug something, but it's the only place I've found it is Google Play Books. They seem to have both series of Lenin of the Rovers on Google Play Books. Fucking hell. And it came out on my birthday last year. How weird is that?
That's fucking weird.
13th of February last year. And it first aired on 13th of February 1988. So I think Google Play Books is a thing you can... Yeah, you find it on YouTube, follow the links, Google Play Books, search for that, and then search for Lenin of the Rovers. And you're going to be able to find your book. All right, Valerie? Hope that helps. And anyone else who's interested. I wonder if you get a cut of that, Alexei.
I should do, theoretically, but, kind of audible and...
It costs a tenner. You get both series. It's just under 4 hours long.
I should get most of that, shouldn't I, really? I think, it's like Spotify and all that. I think it's one of them things where the creators get very little, really.
Yeah, I imagine so. Or the BBC just have all the rights to it or something.
I am, though. Actually, next week I'm recording because it was, I think somebody was asking about, they never did an audio book of Thatcher Stole My Trousers.
Yeah, and you got a deal, didn't you?
But I'm doing the audio book next week, so that'll be out on, I don't know, wherever audio books are. Available to buy on cassette very soon.
Happy for you. That's great.
Yeah. I don't think it'd take long to. I mean, I put aside 3 days to record it. I thought I could rip through it faster than that. Remember when I recorded the audio book for the first volume? Starting at my homework, had a terrible hangover.
Surely that helped fuel your performance. All right, well, you won't make that mistake again. Good luck next week recording that.
Thank you.
Oh, you got a stick now.
That's
quite a short staff.
Yes, it's literally called a short staff.
Yeah.
Actually, if anybody, I'd like to, not that it's not part of the form or anything, but I'd like to learn how to, do that really, but a lot faster. If anybody knows how to do it.
You have to join a marching band to learn that.
Yes, be a drum major. Well, I'd look nice in one of those skirts, I think. But I'm very taken with this. I like it very much as a martial art, and I feel like I'm doing well with it. Really,
I'm gonna come join your club, your Kung Fu club.
Come along.
It's not empty words. I'm gonna do it. I'm gonna give you a call and get some dates off you.
Cool. Well, I get free. If you sign up, I get 3 weeks tuition.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
I want to get. I loved the when I was last doing Kung Fu. We were doing daggers, so we did the broadsword, and then we moved on to daggers. And I bought this little rubber dagger, and the way the whole form changes just by holding this little thing.
Yeah.
And all the movements are completely focused on getting the most out of this. Focus your energy onto this tiny object, and
yeah, no,
it was such good discipline.
Weapons.
It just felt great.
Yeah, well, I've done. I mean, I haven't really learned the form, but I've done broadsword and long staff. But this is the only one that you can do as a Tai Chi form. So it's it's weapons, but it's also Tai Chi. So you're trying to get the energy down
down the end of it, the point of it. Have you started teaching yet?
No, that's sort of I because I've been so busy really with sandwich bar and stuff. I haven't had the chance to really advance my. I mean, I'd only ever be an assistant anyway. I don't want to. I only want to help out when they're busy.
Because last year you qualified as an instructor, didn't you?
No, I haven't really. No. If I said that, I was lying.
Right.
But I would like to.
You definitely said that.
Did I?
Yeah, you're like, I'm an instructor now.
That was a pathetic lie.
I love you. All right.
I think so. I do think sometimes I could go for a walk with it. I could go on the demo, I suppose, with this masquerading as a walking stick.
Yeah. Oh, that's fun. Yeah. Why not? Or when it's all done, you go to the nearest park and just get zen.
Yeah.
Go through your routines. We have to remember to stay zen and stay in control of our minds. I did get an email in from someone, I can't remember who, just asking how does one keep their mind. And
well, it's very difficult, isn't it? I can't really. I can't say I'm really. I mean, it's unprecedented, really. I don't know how you can. How you can be happy, really. My sexy beast. Why should you be happy? I won't let you be happy. No, I don't know. It's very difficult to live through. None of us, I don't think, have experienced anything like this.
No.
So it's a difficult. I think community, in a sense, it's only finding people who believe the same as you. I think helps.
I think that was my response. Let me get to it. It was actually in the lovely Patreon community chat. I'm remembering now where I saw that message. I love these guys in the community, even though there's like one guy in there who's like just really a chaotic element to the community chat and just saying shit that some people don't like.
He's giving us money though, so we can't.
Yeah. I said, yeah, it's like, so my response was, Mark, lovely Mark, who's very active in the Patreon community, actually. at the risk of sounding like first world problems, because obviously whatever we personally feel and struggle with during the genocide is nothing compared to the people of Palestine. Yes. But as a neurodiverse person with a strong sense of injustice, sensitivity, I'm finding the crisis and sickening attitudes and gaslighting from our leaders all so exhausting and detrimental to my mental health. Wondering if anyone else has similar issues and how they cope.
Yeah, me.
Yes, the podcast is the answer.
No, I just mean me struggling with similar issues. I think I did. I think that his community is powerful. Really, I think I felt like last night at the Genesis Cinema in the Mile End Road. I mean, you feel buoyed by, the sense of other people, and of course the sense that you're not going mad really, because there's a lot of other people feel the same as you, and they're just we are. I mean, this is everybody. These are the best people in the world in many ways. I think the people in our movement, demonstrably in a sense. I think the best people in the world, really, and it does. The worst thing I think is isolation. Really, you have to try and find fellow spirits, who believe the same as you. Really.
Agreed. Yeah, my response was, it's a weight getting heavier and heavier with every gaslighting day. I feel your pain. All I can say is keep conversing and gathering with like-minded friends. And don't forget to be kind to yourself. And that goes out to anyone else who's feeling a similar way. Thank you, Mark, and everyone else in the Patreon. This guy is stirring up trouble in the Patreon community, actually. I'm considering muting you, naughty person. You might not consider yourself naughty, but you're saying stuff that is pissing people off.
How much is he giving us?
And you hurt my dear Mark's feelings. So I might have to mute you from the chat. How much is he giving us? All right. Good fucking question. Let's figure this. Let's get to the bottom of this, and then we'll end the podcast. How much is he giving us? How much is he fucking giving us? Where is he? How do I see this? Search by name. £3. £3 a month, and he's only been here for this month. He's a new member. Stirring up shit. What do you say, boss?
Well, I don't know. See if he gives us another £3.
Okay. Consider this your warning as well. Calm it down, mate. Calm it down. All right. Yeah, I'm going to send Alexei in with his stick into the chat room. All right, that's our time, I think. Watch If, 1968's If.
We're talking about that next week.
We are talking about that next week.
All right, I'm seeing Carl Ross as well tomorrow, so I might have updates on Road Java. Yeah, whatever.
I'd love to hear about Road Java. Yes, please. And if he wants to come back and update us on Syria in general, get his opinion on it, that would be interesting.
Yes. Nothing good.
Send my regards.
It'd just be more miserable shit, but still.
Maybe.
This we need to know.
My family had loads of land stolen by the Assads around 40 years ago. And we'd forgotten about it. And it's all landed back in our lap again.
Yikes.
So it looks like I'm going out to Syria in around April with my mum to go look at our family plot. It's being split between my mum's 9 siblings.
Right.
We're going to go have a look at it. See, it was used for army training grounds, and it has some like huts and maybe a couple of small barracks on it or something. Because this new guy, Ahmed, the interim leader at the moment, he told everyone in Syria, like, if your land was ever taken by Assad, or or his dad, if you have the papers, come to the government building. We'll give you you'll get your lands back, no matter who's living in it now or anything.
Yeah.
So people have been doing that all over the country. We've got a few hectares out in the countryside.
Well, blimey! So the Alexei podcast now owns a bit of Syria.
Yeah, and we might be doing an episode from out there in a couple of months.
Yeah, and if it's got any tanks on it or anything, we'd have our own armored forces. Maybe.
You want to come out with me?
I don't know. It's tempting. I haven't been to Syria for a long time, obviously, but
could do a bike ride.
Yeah, that sounds exciting. Maybe, yeah. Yeah.
Hey, me and you with a camera and a couple of mics walk around Damascus.
Yeah. Fucking hell. We'll go to Aleppo and see what's left of that.
Yeah. All right, watch the space, readers.
All right.
See you next time. Same bat place, same bat time.
I'm off with Rupert to do some fossicking to look for round Ilkley.
Oh, yeah?
Looking for antiques. Looking for the Queen Anne silver sugar spoon.
Oh, to go with your set?
To go with me. I've got the bowl. I just need the sugar spoon. So say bye-bye.
Yeah, sure thing. Yeah, bye-bye, readers.
Bye-bye, everybody. Bye-bye. You've been listening to the Alexei Sayle podcast. This show is produced and edited by Talal Karkuti. Music by Tarbush Records. Thanks to Audio Boom for hosting us. Please keep your emails coming in at alexeisaylepodcast@gmail.com. Goodbye.